Have you ever felt a surge of anger so intense that it seems to consume every rational thought, leaving you at the mercy of an overwhelming force? Picture that moment when your pulse quickens, your vision narrows, and all you can think about is the injustice or frustration that sparked this emotion. It's as if a firestorm has ignited within you, and it takes everything you have not to let it blaze out of control. Anger, in its most raw and unfiltered form, is a powerful emotion, one that can drive us to act in ways that we later regret or wish we could undo. But what if there was a way to tame this beast, to transform that boiling rage into a calm, controlled response that aligns with your true nature? Imagine, just for a moment, being able to face the very situations that once drove you to the edge with a sense of peace and unshakable composure. In a world where we're constantly bombarded by stressors, be it from personal relationships, work pressures, or the endless stream of news and social media, anger has become an all-too-common response. It's almost as if society expects us to react with frustration and fury at the slightest provocation. Yet deep down, we know that this isn't the way we want to live. We yearn for control, for the ability to remain calm in the face of adversity, and for a sense of inner peace that isn't so easily disrupted. Enter the philosophy of Stoicism, an ancient wisdom that has been guiding individuals toward a life of tranquility and resilience for over 2,000 years. This philosophy doesn't just offer a temporary fix, it provides a profound shift in how we perceive and respond to the world around us. The teachings of Stoicism, particularly those of the great Roman philosopher Seneca, offer invaluable insights into the nature of anger and how to master it. Stoicism teaches that anger is not an uncontrollable force, but a reaction that we can learn to manage and ultimately dissolve. By understanding the root causes of our anger and applying Stoic principles, we can develop a mindset that views challenges not as threats, but as opportunities for growth. If you find value in our journey, please hit the subscribe button and watch until the end. You're different from the majority. Consider yourself an exception. As we delve into the wisdom of Seneca and the broader Stoic tradition, we'll explore practical techniques that have been used for centuries to curb anger and foster a life of serenity. Imagine a life where the daily irritations that once set you off become mere ripples on the surface of your calm, centered self. So, join me as we embark on your Stoic journey with Stoic Control, where timeless truths meet everyday life. The hot letter, Lincoln's strategy for managing anger. One of the most famous examples of effective anger management comes from Abraham Lincoln, the 16th President of the United States. Faced with the immense pressures and challenges of leading a nation during the Civil War, Lincoln developed a unique strategy for dealing with anger and frustration. Whenever he felt overwhelmed by rage, especially towards an individual, he would sit down and write a hot letter. This letter would contain all the fiery emotions and scathing words that he wanted to express in the heat of the moment. However, instead of sending these letters, Lincoln would set them aside, often never sending them at all. This simple yet profound act allowed him to vent his anger privately without causing harm or burning bridges, which could have had serious consequences. The genius behind the hot letter strategy lies in its ability to create a psychological release without escalating a situation. By putting his thoughts on paper, Lincoln could externalize his anger, examining it from a distance rather than letting it consume him. This process of writing allowed him to clarify his thoughts, often leading him to realize that his initial reaction was driven more by emotion than reason. It's a practice that modern psychologists might describe as a form of cognitive reappraisal, rethinking an emotional response to a situation. Through this act of deliberate pause and reflection, Lincoln was able to approach his problems with a cooler head, ensuring that his decisions were guided by wisdom rather than impulsive anger. For anyone dealing with anger, the lesson from Lincoln's hot letter is clear. Give yourself time to cool down before responding to provocations. Whether through writing or another method, find a way to release your immediate emotions without acting on them. This practice not only prevents unnecessary conflicts, but also fosters a deeper understanding of your own emotional triggers. By acknowledging your anger without being controlled by it, you can cultivate a more measured, thoughtful approach to difficult situations. In essence, the hot letter is a tool for transforming reactive anger into proactive calm, a skill that is invaluable in both personal and professional life. The mirror confronting the appearance of anger. One of the most challenging aspects of anger is recognizing it within ourselves, especially when we believe we are justified in our feelings. This is where the concept of the mirror comes into play, a metaphorical tool for self-reflection that allows us to confront the appearance of anger in our behavior. When we are angry, it is easy to become so wrapped up in our emotions that we fail to see how our actions appear to others or how they may affect those around us. By metaphorically holding up a mirror to our behavior, we can observe how our anger manifests, how it distorts our perception, and how it may be influencing our decisions in ways that are not aligned with our true values or intentions. Confronting the appearance of anger requires a degree of honesty and humility. It involves stepping outside of ourselves, imagining how we would perceive our actions if we were an outside observer. This can be uncomfortable, as it often reveals truths about our behavior that we would rather ignore. However, it is a crucial step in mastering anger. When we see ourselves clearly, when we acknowledge the ways in which anger may be leading us astray, we are better equipped to take corrective action. This might mean apologizing to someone we've wronged, rethinking our approach to a problem, or simply acknowledging that our anger, however justified it may feel, is not serving our best interests. The practice of self-reflection, or the mirror, is deeply rooted in Stoic philosophy. The Stoics believed that wisdom comes from understanding oneself, including one's flaws and emotional tendencies. By regularly examining our actions and reactions, we can begin to see patterns in our behavior, patterns that can be changed with conscious effort. Over time, this practice helps to reduce the frequency and intensity of our angry outbursts, replacing them with a calmer, more measured response to life's challenges. By facing our anger head-on, with the clarity and detachment that self-reflection provides, we take a significant step towards emotional mastery and personal growth. Find somewhere beautiful, creating an inner sanctuary. In the midst of anger, it can feel as though we are trapped in a storm of negative emotions with no escape in sight. This is why finding a beautiful place, either physically or within the mind, is so important. Creating an inner sanctuary, a place where we can retreat when the pressures of life become overwhelming, is a powerful strategy for managing anger. This sanctuary can be a physical location, such as a quiet room, a garden, or a favorite spot in nature. Alternatively, it can be a mental space, crafted through meditation, visualization, or simply recalling memories of a place where you felt at peace. The key is to develop a refuge that calms the mind and soothes the soul, providing a counterbalance to the intensity of anger. The concept of creating a beautiful space ties into the Stoic practice of mindfulness, being fully present and aware of one's emotions without being controlled by them. When we are in the throes of anger, our thoughts often become narrow and focused solely on the source of our frustration. By deliberately shifting our focus to something beautiful, whether it's a real place or an imagined one, we break the cycle of negative thinking. This practice not only helps to diffuse anger in the moment, but also trains the mind to seek out calm and beauty even in difficult situations. It's about cultivating an inner world that remains untouched by the chaos of external circumstances, a place where peace is always within reach. For those looking to create an inner sanctuary, start by identifying the elements that bring you the most peace. This could be the sound of waves crashing on the shore, the sight of a sunset, or the feeling of a gentle breeze. Incorporate these elements into your daily life, either through actual visits to such places or through regular mental retreats. Over time, you'll find that this sanctuary becomes more accessible even in moments of intense anger. By building and nurturing this inner space, you create a powerful tool for managing not just anger, but all of life's challenges with grace and composure. The sanctuary becomes a reminder that no matter how turbulent life gets, there is always a place of peace within you. Create a mantra, anchoring thoughts in Stoic principles. When anger arises, it often brings with it a flood of negative thoughts, blame, resentment, and a desire for retaliation. To counteract this, creating a mantra anchored in Stoic principles can be an effective way to ground your thoughts and regain control. A mantra is a short, powerful phrase that encapsulates a key idea or belief, serving as a mental anchor in times of emotional turmoil. For those practicing Stoicism, a mantra might reflect the core Stoic tenets such as amor fati, love of fate, this too shall pass, or I control my thoughts, not the world. These phrases remind us of the Stoic wisdom that our power lies not in controlling external events, but in mastering our internal responses to them. Repeating a mantra during moments of anger serves several purposes. First, it interrupts the cycle of negative thinking, providing a pause in which to regain perspective. This break allows the rational mind to step back in, preventing anger from spiraling out of control. Second, a mantra reinforces Stoic beliefs, reminding you of the principles you aspire to live by. This can be especially powerful when anger clouds your judgment, pulling you back to a place of calm and reason. Finally, using a mantra regularly conditions your mind to respond to triggers with resilience and composure, gradually reducing the intensity of your emotional reactions over time. To create your own Stoic mantra, consider what beliefs resonate most with you and your experiences. The mantra should be simple enough to recall easily, but meaningful enough to have a real impact on your mindset. Practice repeating it during your daily routine, not just in moments of anger, but also during times of calm. This repetition strengthens the association between the mantra and a state of mental equilibrium. Over time, your mantra becomes more than just words. It becomes a powerful tool for navigating life's challenges with the wisdom and tranquility that Stoicism offers. Whether you're facing a difficult conversation, a stressful situation, or the heat of anger, your mantra will serve as a steady guide, helping you to remain grounded in the principles of Stoic philosophy. People watching, gaining perspective through observation. Anger often narrows our perspective, causing us to focus intensely on the source of our frustration, while losing sight of the bigger picture. One way to counteract this is through the practice of people watching, observing the behavior and interactions of others to gain insight into human nature and, by extension, our own reactions. By stepping back and observing others, especially in moments where they are angry or frustrated, we can see how similar emotions play out in different contexts. This not only helps us understand the universality of anger, but also allows us to view our own anger from a more detached, objective standpoint. The act of people watching is essentially an exercise in empathy and perspective-taking. When we observe others, we can often see their anger more clearly than they can themselves. We notice how it distorts their behavior, makes them act irrationally, or causes them to say things they might later regret. This observation helps us recognize these same patterns in ourselves. By seeing how anger affects others, we become more aware of how it influences our own actions, which is the first step towards mastering it. Moreover, people watching can reveal the underlying causes of anger, fear, insecurity, or a sense of injustice, which are often the real issues that need to be addressed. In Stoic practice, people watching is akin to the exercise of viewing events as an impartial observer. The Stoics believed that much of our suffering comes from the stories we tell ourselves about events, rather than the events themselves. By observing others, we can see these stories in action, realizing that anger often arises not from what happens, but from our interpretation of what happens. This realization helps us distance ourselves from our own emotional reactions, fostering a sense of calm detachment. Over time, regular practice of people watching can lead to a deeper understanding of both others and ourselves, helping us to respond to anger with wisdom rather than impulsiveness. It's a practice that encourages compassion, patience, and a broader perspective, qualities that are essential for emotional mastery. Managing anger is not just about suppressing or avoiding the emotion, but about transforming it into an opportunity for growth and self-discovery. By engaging in practices that encourage reflection, whether through writing, self-examination, finding solace in nature, anchoring oneself with a mantra, or observing others, we learn to channel our anger into constructive and insightful actions. These approaches teach us that anger, when understood and managed thoughtfully, can reveal deeper truths about our needs, values, and boundaries. If you found value in our journey together, we humbly ask that you express your support by liking and subscribing. Your thoughtful reflections and insights are welcome in the comments below. Share this wisdom with others, and remember, these strategies guide us toward a more peaceful and resilient state of mind, where we can navigate life's challenges with greater emotional clarity and strength.